that's it. Cubman's gone. We're building something else. Just kidding. Now, thinking about just finishing off the bonnet so that I can take it off and get rid of it because it's flappy and in the way. So, what we're doing with the bonnet, I'm going to put some little tabs at front and back of these top bars so they'll drop down and line up the bonnet with the chassis. So we're going to chop a section out of the front bar and then weld in what's basically a threaded tube, and then the bolt will come in from each end and bolt into it and lock up. Then there's just got to be a new pivot point put on each of these down bars. Alright, let's get on with that then. So, got this little thing. It's basically a really long nut. So I'm just going to cut the centre out of this, weld him in there. Then we've got these long bolts. One will come in from each end and they'll lock up when they touch in the middle. So I'm going to take off these two bolts here, take the bonnet panel off, cut that out, put him into place with the bolts in. As long as they're turning freely, then I'll weld it. Alright, that seems to be the right spot. I'll weld him in and be done with it. Alright, so that's that bit. Now we need some little brackets to go into there. I might just use a bit more of this box section because I've got lots of little pieces lying around. Alright, so I've got these two little pieces of box section, the same as the rest of the chassis. Put them on there so that alright, that's good enough. Line this up. Perfect. That's still wobbly, but I might change all this at a later date anyway. It'll be nothing just to chop this front section off and redo it all properly, because I'm not 100% convinced on this setup. There's a bit too much slop in it for my liking, but we'll keep going for now. So next, going to put the tabs on the four corners. So I've got 4 of these little tabs. They're just a bit of 3mm steel. Just going to weld them on the inside of the 4 corners. That'll just make sure the bonnet always drops down lined up. So I'll clamp them, weld them, and yeah, then on to the next bit. Alright, they're all clamped where I want them. So, time to weld. Alright, that's solid. That lines up nicely. There. Next step. The bonnet's going up and down and locking into place, so I think what I'm going to do is finish off these hubs now. I found springs. Got these at Bunnings. So anyway, I haven't finished welding up these front suspension because before I got to that I found these. I thought, well, if I can't have actual suspension, I could put springs in there to make it look cool. So I didn't weld it in case I needed to chop this bar out, but I managed to wind this one on in situ, so I think I'm just going to weld both lots right out and then tack weld the spring into where I want it. I think it looks kind of cool, so that's what's going to happen. And I'm spent. That's the end of that wire spool, but I got all the welds pretty much done. So I think I'll just clean up the end of these tags so it's all finished. We've got these tabs on here to help align the bonnet, which they do that perfectly, but they don't drop straight back in. So what we do there, just going to put a cut about 10mm up from the bottom, not all the way through, and then just bend the tabs. So then they should just drop straight into place. Now I'll just the AFS spanner. Heaps better. So I'll just put a bit of a weld on the back of these just to strengthen that bit up, and then we'll do the last piece of structural work for the bonnet, and then we can take it off and put it in the corner. Pretty good. Alrighty then. Next bit. That good as well? Okay. Okay. Oh, shed corgi bird. In the episode where I built the bonnet frame, I said we're going to put a cable across here, so then the bonnet will lift up and it'll hang there off the cable. But I found a little tiny gas strut, so I thought, oh well, might as well put a gas strut in here, and well, they're tricky little things sometimes. Yeah. yeah, we need to make some space on the table. So, the important thing with gas struts is that they're always trying to push open. So the mounts are really important. You have something that's pivoting, so it's our pivot point, and it will pivot up. Now, what you want is your mounting points, wherever they are. Because the gas strut is always trying to push open, if you get your piece in its close position, can't go any further. If you get the gas strut mounted so it's closer to the fixed point than it is the pivoting point off that plane, it will be pushing. The gas strut will be trying to open, which will actually be holding the piece shut. So then to open, say, a lid on a toolbox, to open it, it will have to compress the strut slightly first to get past the center point, and then the gas strut will push open. That will help hold the lid shut. Now, generally when you look at a gas strut in a bonnet on a car, when they close, they're just equal points. They're just straight instead of over center. So it's not trying to push the bonnet up, it's just there. If we put it over center, it'll be trying to pull the bonnet down, or if you go the wrong way, you won't be able to keep the bonnet shut without a latch or toolbox lid or whatever you've got, because that's already in a position to lever it open. So the trick is to get it to go over center. So that's a lot of waffle, so what we're going to do is fixed point, close. Hinge point, that's far. So if we come in 30 millimeters from the main structure, and then the moving part 50. That will be over center and it'll work. That still makes little sense, because how about I put the brackets in here and show you. So our little gas strut is going to mount just in behind this bar. I've made some little brackets, one to go on the bottom, one to go on the top. I've put lots of holes in them so that I can adjust the gas strut and show you what happens when they are not set up right. So I weld these in and then not set up a gas strut right. So I've on purpose put this in the wrong position, so the solid mounting is further away from the pivot point than the gas strut. So if I push that down, it's wanting to push itself back up. That is further away from the pivot point than that is in this plane. So if we push him down, you get to there, and he will be then opening again, trying to push the gas strut forward, holding the bonnet down. I'm probably going to redo these pivot points because they're way too sloppy to be having a gas strut on them. So, well, I hope all that makes sense about the gas struts and fitting them up. Experiment with them, they're fun. Just don't weld them because that's a pressurized gas chamber, and the only other thing about gas struts is the manufacturers often have it actually written on the strut, but this one doesn't. So you always set them up so when they're in their closed position, so that way, dust can't settle on the seal. That's about the only thing they recommend, is that they're this way up, so that the oil they put in there is always sitting on the seal and keeping it lubricated. Dust can't get in there and grind the seal apart either. So that's about it for gas struts. Yeah, I'm happy with this, so I'll weld these brackets out, grind that bit off the top, but I reckon that's it for today's episode. Yeah, that's about it for today's episode. As always, customise everything.